All right, I got one out so far. It's just me, so I'm filming and I'm working, so I'm not gonna be able to really film and work at the same time, but you guys get the idea. Pretty much gonna work these rocker arm shafts out so I can, drop the rocker arms, remove the cam, whatever I can remove first, and then we will tackle the valve springs, pop those out, and then I can be done with the cylinder head. I can scrap this thing probably and get ready to transfer all these parts to the other cylinder head. All right, it's one shaft out. That's the intake side. There are 4 shafts in total in the M30s. I know in the M20s I think they just only have 2, so it'll be one long one going across the intake side and one long one going across the exhaust side. On to the next. Okay, so here's the cam. I got the camshaft out. I got the rocker arms and shafts out with the exception of this one, the exhaust side on the back. When I built this head a few years ago, it was my very first time, so there was a lot of trial and error, and I'm pretty sure that I damaged one of these shafts. I think I mushroomed it, so I'm really not able to get this out. So I'm most likely gonna have to sacrifice this shaft here, cut it just to get these rockers out, and then I'll pop off the valve springs. Like I said, this head I'm probably gonna scrap it because there's no use for it anymore. I should have a spare because I have like 2 spare cylinder heads in my shed, so I'm not really too concerned about having to cut these out because I won't be reusing it. I won't be reusing this cylinder head either. I'm gonna go inside and eat something really quick, and then I'll probably come back out here and resume the carnage. By the way, I do not recommend you do this. Do not follow me when it comes to what I'm about to do here. I picked up my cylinder head from my uncle's shop. One of the guys that works up there has got a machine shop at his house, so I had him resurface and clean my cylinder head. This is the good core that's going to be going in the black car here. So the cam and valve springs from the other head are going to be going in here, and also a few valves, because he did point out that a few valves are bent, so that won't be a problem. I'll just swap those out and we'll be good to go. What a fucking joke. What a joke. This is all that came today so far. Upper timing. Upper timing cover. Wow. So no head gasket. Alright, so I did what I had to do. I had to sacrifice that one shaft, but all my rocker arms are out. Got the cam out. So now I'm about to use this tool that my buddy let me borrow. I used the same tool for the E28 when I put that cylinder head back together. And I'm going to be removing these valve springs because these are the Beamer head HD single valve springs. So like I said, all this is just gonna be transferred over to another cylinder head. So that's gonna be the next step, is getting these valve springs out, and then I can take whatever valves I need out of this head and transfer it over to the other cylinder head that's been resurfaced. Okay, this literally took me like 30 seconds. One of them's out already. The way this tool works is very simple. You line it up on top of the valve stem. I got my sledgehammer here, and I pretty much smack the hell out of it, give it one good whack, and then what it does is there's a magnet inside, and as you can see, one of the keepers, retainers, whatever you want to call it, that magnet will grab it. Once you push down, it'll grab it, and therefore freeing up this top here so you can get your spring out. So now I have to do the rest of them, and I'm gonna have to do the one on the other cylinder head too. So that'll be it for as far as removal goes, and then reassembly will be very similar. You'll attach the keepers to the end here, and it'll kind of like lock it right back in. All right, just like that, all my valve springs are out. Here's the other cylinder head that I just picked up today from my uncle's shop. A guy I'm cool with up there, he's got a machine shop at his house, so he went ahead and resurfaced it for me. So now I'm pretty much going to do the same thing with this one. Take these valve springs out, put the beamer heads one in, and then change the valve seals. Also, I have new valve seals. And he pointed out I have a few bent valves here. I did get this head from a junkyard, so it was kind of to be expected because the rocker arms, there were a few rocker arms broken. So the ones he marked are the ones I'm going to be replacing. I'm going to be using a few out of here, and then we'll go from there. Alright, it is the next day. I had to refilm this section because I filmed it in a different format. But anyway, I already went ahead and put in some of the valves. Here are the old ones. Some of them are bent, as you can tell. There were 3 intake valves and 1 exhaust valve. So now this cylinder head has all good valves. I've already gotten one of the beamer heads valve springs in. I'm just having a really hard time because these keepers, let me see here. Every time I pop them in, it seems like only one keeper actually falls into the, in alignment with the stem. So this might take me a little while. Maybe if I was a bit heavier of a person, it'd be a little bit easier for me to do, but I don't really weigh too much, so I'm using like all my body strength to compress these. So that's where we're at right now. So the goal for today is going to be to try to at least get the valve springs in if possible, and then I'll go from there as far as reinstalling the camshaft and the rocker arms. Today's Saturday, so ideally by the end of this weekend, if I can have this head completely reassembled, I'd be very happy. I'm not sure if my parts are going to arrive today. They're supposed to from FedEx, but then I can start cleaning up this block here. And I got an oil pan over there, so I got new oil pan gasket coming, new rear main seal, new gasket for, I don't know what you call this, to be honest, around the rear main seal. But yeah, the goal really is to try to get the cylinder head assembled this weekend, get the block all dressed up, and then I'll pull the block that's in the black car right now. I haven't decided yet, but this hood is gonna have to come off for me to pull the block, so I might go ahead and paint the hood while I have it off. Actually, this mirror ain't too bad, but I was gonna do the mirrors as well. My passenger mirror is in a lot worse shape than my driver's side, but I have the paint for it and I know how to paint, so I might go ahead and just knock out the hood and these mirrors, because I do want to respray the car entirely. So I will do that, but at least for now the hood can have some shine to it and the whole car will have an appealing look. Like I mentioned before, I already repainted this rear bumper a few months back because it was faded, and I got the paint from my uncle's shop a few months ago. Probably gonna change out these taillights too because they look really crusty. Package finally came yesterday. This arrived. They sent me a whole box just for one gasket. Now the remaining of my order actually showed up today, so that's good. Damn, I got a bunch of shit. Okay, random shifter bushings, because I ordered everything I needed as far as reassembling the engine goes. You know, it's mostly gaskets, and then I bought some miscellaneous stuff like shifter bushings and whatnot. Took it upon myself to at least change out the rear main seal and then the gasket that goes around it. Obviously I haven't tightened it all the way down yet, but I managed to have enough space in between this engine stand here to get it done, so that saves a lot of time as far as reassembly goes. All right, the hard part is done finally, which is installing these valve springs. Oh, I got a little bloody knuckle. Part of the game, but yeah, beamer heads cam is in, and they're single HD valve springs. For those that don't know, the stock M30 B35 springs are actually dual valve springs. You have one small one that's inside of the bigger one, but I got these from beamer heads because, you know, just for easier installation, and they state that these springs are just about identical compared to the factory duals as far as spring rate is concerned, and with this not being that aggressive of a cam, they said it should be fine. This is a 284 cam. I think I still might have been okay if it was a 292 cam, but it's just a mild cam. It's nothing crazy, but it does make a difference. So now, next would be to start sliding the rocker arm shafts in with the rocker arm. I'm about to slide this in. M30 heads have 4 shafts. BMW M20s just have 2, so it'll be like one for the intake side and one for the exhaust side. And there are these grooves here because on the M30s these are all very specific to each side. This groove here is so that the head bolt will have, you know, room to fit. That's why you want to make sure you have it turned the right way when you install it, because it's kind of difficult to turn once you have it inside the head. See if I can pull this off one-handed. Let's start it. These grooves here are for the snap rings that keep the rocker arm locked in on one side, and from the factory there's a shaft spring, but I eliminated the shaft spring for rocker arm locks. They call them shaft collars on eBay or whatever. That's where I got mine from. So it'll lock it in on the other side, because the factory springs do the job fine, but over the years they do get tired. So under high RPMs, sometimes they'll allow that rocker arm to walk off the cam lobe, and that's typically how these break. So that's why I got rocker arm locks. They're cheap insurance pretty much, and you don't really have to worry about breaking a rocker arm in that way, at least. And these washers here, I can't think of the official name right now, I'm getting tired, but there's a flat end and a slightly hollow end. The flat end is always going to be facing the rocker arm, because this is where it'll lock onto the snap ring will lock into the groove. Snap ring is in. So now the rocker arm will not go past this point at all. And the rocker arm lock is going to go on the other side. Also, like I mentioned, you want the shaft to be facing the right way so your head bolt can fit through here. So it's a good idea to want to test, make sure that they're all going to fit. I mean, once one of these fits, I mean, you pretty much do have it in alignment. I would say I got the shaft pretty much in the right position, because you want to make sure that the rocker arm is directly on that valve stem. Finally came to a good stopping point. All the heavy work is done. This is not 100% complete, but about 95%. The only thing I have left to do now is to reinstall these eccentrics. This is how, you know, this is for your valve adjustment. So that'll be the next step, but I'm going to conclude the video from here because this is not going to take long. I just wanted to show you guys that this is the side that my rocker arm locks will be going on. This is the snap ring side, so the snap ring will go in here. This washer will get to that snap ring and stop, so it'll lock in the rocker arm from one side, and then on the other side is where I'm going to be using these rocker arm locks. I have two 10mm bolts that will be going in here. You line this up with the cam so you can lock the cam in. There's going to be a gasket back here and a plate that goes on. I'm going to call it for this video. This will be part 2, having the head reassembled, and then I can proceed on to the block here. I don't have the oil pan bolted down at all, but I just wanted to sit it on here because I had some bolts in my shed that I believe were the bolts for the oil pan, so I just wanted to test fit them first. Yeah, worst case scenario, I was just gonna pull this, well, the block is coming out anyway, but I was just gonna steal the oil pan bolts that are on this block now holding the oil pan, but I did find the correct bolts. Yeah, I'm glad I'm done with that part because I would say that's the most difficult part of this whole job. Like, I'm gonna get under here and, you know, disconnect the transmission, disconnect the motor mounts, the AC bracket, and I believe power steering bracket so I can pull this block. But that's all easy stuff. Like, I don't care what anybody else says. Like, I'd rather do all this shit before having to do cylinder head work again. I don't mind doing it one time if I need to, but I literally just did that work on the E28 not long ago. Glad to announce it's finally done. All the hard work is done. Now I can jack the car up. My buddy's gonna come by and bring his engine hoist. That's it for this video. Appreciate you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Share if you'd like to share. I'd appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.